Frontier Defense is my most played game mode in Titanfall 2. It's great to play with a team or with randoms. However, there can be a lot going on for players with less experience. The goal of this video is to provide some advice that would normally take some extra time to learn. Here are 5 tips to be better at Frontier Defense. Tip number 1. Learn enemy spawn patterns. The enemies that spawn in each wave of Frontier Defense are not random. Each wave is designed on every map so that the same types of enemies spawn at around the same time and in the same place every time you play that wave. Every map has unique waves, and across difficulties, they mostly differ in quantity of enemies, but the place and timing of spawns remains the same. Let's look at some examples. On the 5th wave on Angel City, almost all enemies spawn in the southeast corner of the map. There are tons of Reapers, Tones, and Nuke Titans all spawning in the same place. Once you know this, you can move all of your arc traps in the southeast corner before the wave begins, and even communicate to the rest of your team where the enemies will spawn. Having this area locked down from the start of the wave will give your team a huge advantage. Another example is the 4th wave on Blackwater Canal. At the beginning of the wave, 4 Mortar Titans spawn, 2 in the southwest corner, and 2 in the northeast corner. If they aren't dealt with quickly, these mortars can wreak havoc on the Harvester. Knowing even basic spawn information, such as this wave starts on the west side, allows your team to choose the best positions every wave and start doing damage earlier. Tip number 2. Get batteries from the last Titans. If the last remaining Titans in a wave are not an immediate threat to your teammates and the Harvester, they can be full of resources for the entire team. If you're able to communicate effectively, you can hold off on destroying the last Titans, and each team member can rodeo them and get batteries to regain some health and refill shields. If your Titan is doomed and your teammates are nice enough, you can even eject, rodeo, and take on the last Titan yourself to refill your Titan meter. This way, you'll have a fresh Titan with a free battery before the next round even begins. Communication is key for this, however, as most people will just keep killing enemies until there are none left. In my experience, most teammates are pretty compliant when I ask them to leave the last Titan alive. Tip number 3. Living is top priority. It's extremely easy to get tunnel vision and wade into the sea of enemies to get massive amounts of points. It seems like it should be easy to disengage once you near Doom State, but all it takes is a stray Scorch Grenade or Arc Titan for your health to disappear in seconds. While it may seem silly to say, being alive is better than being dead, playing with a healthy fear of death is important. Any advantage in kills or points from a self-sacrifice is easily lost in the 20 to 30 seconds you spend waiting to spawn back into the map. Playing with a focus on reducing how much damage you take becomes more and more necessary as you start playing the higher difficulties of Frontier Defense. Use set pieces on the map as cover and peek around corners to fire burst damage. Keep an eye on your resources, like how much shield health you have, your defensive ability cooldown, and your dash cooldown if you're venturing out into open territory. On the other hand, try some aggressive sustained counterfire. I've gotten into the habit of ejecting when I'm even nearing Doom State. Take a look at this clip. Once I am doomed, I set up multiple AoE attacks with lasting damage, and then eject. Look how much Titan meter I gained even before I touched the ground. With practice, ejecting with proper planning can quickly yield a fresh Titan and even a battery. As you get better at knowing when to eject and how to attack as a pilot, you can greatly reduce credits spent on batteries as well as reduce the strain death puts on your teammates. Tip number 4. Spread out and guard a traveled area. With few exceptions, it is almost always best to position yourself somewhere on the map that checks the following boxes. 1. Is not too close to another teammate. 2. is a lane or area that Titans will frequently pass through, and 3, has cover or corners you can use to defend yourself. What you want to avoid is bunching up with your teammates and running back and forth across the map every time Titans spawn. Then you clear an area and Titans spawn somewhere else, and everyone runs over to that area. If this is the case, then nobody will know who belongs where when Titans are spawning in multiple locations and traveling through multiple routes to the harvester. Nobody owns an area, so nobody bears responsibility when Titans get past your defenses. Often this means it will take longer for anyone to notice when Titans are getting too close to the harvester. I believe it is best for each team member to take up a position and stay near it throughout a wave. Obviously, there are emergencies when someone needs to leave their post, either to stay alive or to help someone who is overwhelmed. But this is the exception rather than the rule. While it can seem tempting to move to other areas when Titans on the map are currently sparse, it can set the team very far back if too much firepower is focused in one area and other Titans go unchallenged for too much time after spawning. Tip number 5. Electric smoke is cover wherever you want. Electric smoke is probably one of the last things newer players learn to keep in mind as they play Frontier Defense. The sooner you can get this in your mental stack, the better you will be at using this when it's most needed. On top of the close range damage electric smoke can deal out, enemy Titans cannot see or shoot through it. It is cover that you can create in the middle of a battlefield. Knowing how to use electric smoke effectively can save so much health and greatly reduce how far you have to drop back to handle advancing Titans. If I'm playing with friends or a team in Discord, I'll often call out "popping smoke" whenever I use it. This accomplishes 2 things. 1, it reminds my teammates that they can use electric smoke if it's not on their mind. And 2, it alerts my teammates that they can use my smoke as cover. Electric smoke is incredibly useful, and I would go as far as saying its use is required in higher difficulties. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know in the comments if there are other things you have trouble with, or if you have tips of your own for Frontier Defense. Thanks for watching.